Hey folks, happy Saturday. Tradesman Offroad Adventures here, and this is Jason, and somewhere around here is, where is he? Is my youngest. Say hi, Sam.
Hi.
And we are going to install a CJC Offroad front, we'll call it a skid plate, a winch protector on the Beast. Stay tuned. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with the front of Power Wagons, and in this case a Tradesman Power Wagon, they come from the factory with this giant air dam, which I will get a tape measure out here and measure. You can see my little guys here helping me. So that's great for probably a modicum of improvement on the fuel performance or the gas mileage of the rig, which has already gone down because of the tires. But what we're going to do is we're going to take this thing off and we're going to put a skid plate underneath this. So let me go get a quick measurement, and then we'll start figuring out how we're going to get the fascia off. All right, crew, got the tape measure. So from the lowest point, which is right here, we're going to say, hi buddy. This comes up a hair over 15 inches from the ground, and then it kind of tapers up and goes higher. So we're going to see how much higher we can get. And here you can see it's a little bit higher. I'm going to say it's about 18 inches. We're also going to talk a little bit about that license plate frame because that's a problem. But let's go ahead and see if we can get this fascia off. All right, lower valance is off. Took about 5 or so minutes. There's just a couple tight spaces to get, I would say, 2 or 4 of the 14 10 millimeter bolts off that hold it up. You also need something to pop out a couple of these plastic retainers. So I would recommend having a pair of pliers. There's also 2 of these clips that you have to take off too. Just crimp them. So for this job, I'd recommend having some kind of plastic trim puller, like I've got this thing, a 10 millimeter socket with an extension, a ratchet, a pair of pliers of your choice to yank it off, and it comes off pretty easy. So let's get into the truck, see what it looks like, and see how much approach angle and ground clearance we have gained. All right, now if we look under the truck, and I took a measurement, we seem to have gained a ton of ground clearance. So it's 19 inches to this point in my driveway, which may not be totally flat, and 20 inches where there's this kind of scallop cut out. So the first thing you're gonna hit are these little brackets at the bottom side of the valance attached to, which I think may or may not get used with the CJC piece, or your snowplow attachment point here. But in any case, we have gained a ton of ground clearance. Soon you're just gonna hit the track bar or front differential. So already a big improvement. We're gonna have to figure out the license plate here in just a little bit. All right, and here is the CJC kit. And looking at the plate, it is well manufactured. The powder coat is nice, but it is definitely not heavy duty. When they say it's not a skid plate or a bash plate, they're right. 3 pounds, 5 pounds maybe. Definitely not too heavy, but it is good quality. So it comes with obviously the plate, the brackets, and some attachment hardware, and then you have to get the instructions online. So let's go ahead and get this thing on. I'll let you know how it went. All right, crew, it's been about 30 minutes, although that took me a little while longer because I had a 4-year-old running around. That helped the wife a little bit, but got it installed. Not too bad. Have to do some aligning, and I will do better pictures tomorrow. But really quick, I wanted to go over, because I don't need as much light for this, the tools you're going to need. So I needed, and I went to a bigger socket size. You'll need a 13 and a 15 millimeter socket. I used an extension as well. You might need that to get into some of the places. You can see here I've got hex head bolts, so just to get up under there. Extension's worthwhile. A 15 millimeter open box end wrench to get inside the snowplow mount to mount the back of the brackets, and then a 5.5mm hex key to tighten up the very nice looking bolts on the front, which give it a much cleaner look. So I will see you all tomorrow for my final thoughts, and we may get in just a quick test to see how this affects the truck's already somewhat dismal fuel mileage. So I will see you tomorrow. All right, it's the next day, and I wanted you to be able to see CJC piece in better light. It looks really good, especially from the front. I think the fit and finish looks good. I went with the black piece, the black powder coated piece, thinking that I was going to trade out for the black bumpers at some point. Now I don't know if I'm regretting that decision. At any rate, it looks good. The attachment hardware looks nice. From the sides, it does look a little strange to me. Let me go over here. So if you can see in here, you can definitely see, and I did leave the old brackets to attach the lower valance. They're still there. It does look a little strange from the side, but it does give you plenty of ground clearance. So you lose a little bit, mostly just because it smooths the transition from the underneath the front bumper to the bottom of your plow mounting points. So while you still get a ton of clearance, 20 inches from here down, it drops down to 17 in the front. But for me, the most important place to have the ground clearance and approach angle, right there. So it looks good, attached well. I'm not gonna have time to do the fuel mileage, just save that for another video. But let me come back to you just a sec with some final thoughts. All right, folks, some final thoughts. The CJC intercooler cover, winch cover, not a bash plate, not a skid plate. Let me talk through a couple of, there it is, a couple of thoughts. Appearance looks awesome. A little strange from the side, but I don't think there's a way they could have done any differently. Efficiency or effectiveness. Obviously, I haven't taken this off-road yet, I just installed it. But it's definitely, you're gonna improve the approach angle, which was pretty dismal on this truck because of that plastic valance. Do I know if it would have been more economical, or not economical, more just as efficient to just pull off the front valance and take off those 14 bolts and whatever, 14 nuts? Yeah. So I would say that this piece, offhand, is more for aesthetics, which it does help a lot with the front of the truck. And will it probably offer some protection if you were to kick a rock or something to come up underneath here where your winch is? 100% will. Is it worth it? The jury's still out for me. When I bought it in November, December 2021, it ran 319, and I think I would buy it again, only because it helps the look of the front of the truck some, and it does afford some degree of protection, but it is not a game changer. And I'm surprised that more people haven't come out, maybe even CJC, if they're whatever, watch a small channel like this, make a put on a steel. I think people would pay for it. I think people would definitely mount it. I would definitely mount it. It might be because it requires a little bit more reinforcement to put on the front of the truck. So for me, I think it was an okay purchase. It was a little on the pricey side, but and we'll have to see how it affects the fuel performance or the gas mileage of the truck. That would not relate to that. That would just be the cost of, if there is any, of removing that front plastic valance. So in kind of final thoughts, quality piece, easy to install, pretty straightforward if you got the right tools, which I will list in there. No Amazon links, just a list of things you're going to need. Is it going to turn the truck into more of a rock crawler? You're going to be able to drive it into rocks? No, I don't think so. But for me, it's worth it. I will, of course, update if something comes up. The hardware, I don't expect to have to touch this anymore unless I decide to take that front bumper off and replace it with a black one, because all the bolts were nylock, high quality, grade 8. CJC did a good job with the hardware, which I find I was often lacking, but not in this case. So I would highly recommend working with them again. They put out quality pieces. I would just say I would gladly pay extra or suffer the weight cost for having a piece of steel rather than a piece of aluminum. So I apologize for the lack of videos lately. It's just been really cold outside. I've got a couple others I might be able to post in the coming weeks, but right now I have a box of box from Baja Designs there, and a box from LasFit. We're going to work on some lighting for the truck because it's pretty dismal from the factory with the halogens right there. But anyways, I hope you guys are having a great weekend. Stay warm if you're where it's cold, and hope to talk to you soon. Have a good one.